Well, everybody, we made it to 3.0. The 3.0 patch should launch right around the time this video airs, so I assume if I planned it right, I don't know. I haven't been good at planning things recently, or for a while. But planning on this going up around the time 3.0 goes up. Maybe it'll be during the maintenance period, maybe it'll be after. Maybe this video won't exist. I don't know. I didn't script it or anything. I just figured this would be a fun thing to talk about. I want to talk about the Omni rerun banner here, the 2 new damage dealers, and reruns in general. Also, it's kind of funny, like the way I've arranged this very professional looking setup, of course, kind of reminds me of like a Mega Man boss select screen, you know, because there's always 8 bosses and you could just, you know, if you played a Mega Man game, you probably know what I'm talking about. I don't know. I think it kind of reminds me of that. But anyway, we have 8 characters on banner this patch. And before we get into the new characters, I want to talk about the rerun characters that are above and below me. During Phase 1, we have Lingsha, Jade, and Fei Zhao. And then during Phase 2, we have Silverwolf, Boothill, and Robin running alongside the new damage dealers in Herta. Herta and Aglia. Herta and Aglia over there. They're going to be new, so you probably want to pull them because they're new, and that's how this game works. But I want to talk about reruns in general before we get into that, and before I get into that even, I want to talk about how there's been a little bit of backlash by some people about the triple rerun banners, and especially this triple double rerun banners. It's like basketball, you can get a triple double. Some people really are upset about this. They think that Hoyo is being greedy by putting more units on banner and that they're trying to scam them out of more money, which, well, for starters, everything this company does is in a direct effort to scam you out of more money. Make no mistakes about that. This company is not your friend. No companies are friends, and they are absolutely trying to scam you every time they do literally anything. That being said, by the way, please sponsor me. Anyway, but no, like the only people that don't benefit from the triple rerun banner are people that have absolutely no impulse control. And if you have absolutely no impulse control, I do sincerely implore you, for your own good, do not play these games. Don't touch these games. They're not worth your time if you have really bad impulse control. They will actually hurt you because they are designed to be as predatory as possible to you specifically if you have bad impulse control. So do not play these games if that is a situation you are in. That being said, you might think, but I want to pull more than one of these units. I want to pull Lingsha, and I want to pull Jade. So this is really bad for me. Well, the thing is, it's not. Like, let's say that you try to pull both of them, you only get one of them. Okay. Lingsha is going to be back far sooner if they continue using this system. And I think that they should, right? Like, if this is the only time they ever do this, and they just want to get a bunch of these reruns out of the way and then never run any of these characters again, treat them like friggin' Shenhe in Genshin Impact, then yeah, no, it's going to be bad. But, like, if they do this every few patches, I think it's going to monumentally help people's ability to actually get multiple copies of older characters, because they're just going to be around longer, right? The main advantage of this kind of system is that a character you might miss a character. True, you might not get every character. If you want a couple of these characters, you're not going to get all of them. But any character you don't get is going to be back like 3 times as fast, probably, than instead of waiting, you know, a year and 3 months to get them back on banner. So I think that aspect, people getting mad about there being multiple characters on the rerun banner, is just ridiculous. This is a good thing, and I want them to do it more. Now let's actually talk about reruns as a concept and then get into each individual character. So reruns in Honkai Star Rail, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions, I think at this point, are just not as valuable as they are in, like, Genshin. And to be fair, there are exceptions to this rule, by the way. Like Robin is a very obvious exception because she's the best unit in the game right now. Until they make another support that just, you know, blows her out of the water, which they probably will, because we'll talk more about why they'll probably do that later. She's the best unit in the game. If you don't have Robin, she's a very valuable pickup, but especially like damage dealing units. And I know Boothill and Fei Zhao are at this point still like the strongest single target damage dealers in the game. But the thing about it is, power creep in Honkai Star Rail is just exponentially faster than in a game like Genshin. And I keep bringing up Genshin because it's a game I have a lot of experience with. I can't really talk about games that I don't have as much experience in. And also because Genshin was kind of the standard for the gacha archetype, the gacha genre, right? Because it kind of blew up and made gacha games much more of a mainstream popular thing, especially in the West. So a character like Hu Tao, right, was dominant for so goddamn long in Genshin Impact. Now, they have recently released not 1, but 2 on-field pyro damage dealers that are better than Hu Tao. However, from the point she came out, which was multiple years ago, to Arlecchino coming out at the end of Fontaine, she was the best pyro damage dealer in the game. That's simply not going to happen in Honkai Star Rail. Hu Tao was the best pyro damage dealer in the game longer than Honkai Star Rail has existed. By a wide margin. By a significantly wide margin, right? And that's just one random example, right? But there's characters that have been good for a very long time in Genshin that are continuing to be very good. And there are some characters that are going to stick around. Some characters stand the test of time better. And obviously support characters like Ruan Mei are going to stand the test of time better than damage-dealing characters. God bless Blade wherever he may be. He's been dead for years, which is kind of what he wanted, I guess. But even characters that were dominant for a while. Jinglu, Danheng 2, Electric Boogaloo, they're dead. Acheron's gonna be like a bottom tier unit before the end of 2025. Like, genuinely. Acheron is going to be a bad unit before the end of 2025. And it's not just because they're going to release better units, but it's because this game's HP inflation in its endgame is a little massive right now, right? Like, it's been going up and going up a lot. You can look at an MOC, and then you can see that same boss at MOC a couple patches later, and it has double the HP. And that's because they're trying to sell you more characters. And the reason that they have to do it this way, or that they have to do it this way, is because this game just has less variety in playstyle, because it's a turn-based game, but not only just because it's a turn-based game, you can have a wide variety of playstyle in a turn-based game, but because realistically, the actual things you can do within the gameplay itself are pretty limited. Every character has 2 buttons, and sometimes they have an enhanced version of one of those buttons, but they got 2 buttons, right? There's not a lot you can do to change it besides giving characters bigger numbers. Now, characters can do damage in different ways. Like I said, Fei Zhao is a really good single-target DPS, and so is Boothill, but they do damage in different ways. And they can continue to do that, and that will make characters better in specific kinds of content, but the way they're choosing to do it is also just to continually buff up the numbers on the actual multipliers on new characters, and then just inflate the HP pool to kind of make you incentivized to pull the newer characters. So that's my little spiel on that. A lot of people have said similar things, and it is more or less true. Now, will Acheron actually be terrible by the end of 2025? Maybe not. But if they keep escalating the HP pool on the way they have been doing it so far, she might be. You know? I mean, that's the thing. Like, we don't know. But enough doom and gloom. Let's actually talk about these characters, because they all do have something to offer your account, at least in the current state of the game. But that was just kind of my long-winded way of saying, be a little bit cautious when pulling rerun characters, especially rerun damage dealers. But let's talk about the characters that are running with Herta first. Now, Lingsha, I think, is actually a really good pickup. She's the best sustain in the game, question mark. She is in some situations at the very least. I always say Aventurine is, but Aventurine's been bugged for like a whole patch and a half now, it feels like. But Lingsha is a really, really good healer. She heals so much. She attacks so often as well. She's very good with Herta. She's very good with break teams. She's very good in pure fiction. She's good in I think she's good in every game mode. And I think she's still a very worthwhile pickup if you just want another limited sustain. She's very good. Jade is another good teammate with Herta. They're both Erudition units, obviously, and Erudition units tend to play nice with Herta. And they both kind of have a similar aesthetic going on in a way. They both kind of have these dark colors, got some purple on them. They both got big hats, so like that's pretty cool. If you want to like match, you can do that. But she's definitely worthwhile. She's very good. She's a good pure fiction unit, obviously. There's a lot of good pure fiction units actually on this patch, as it turns out. And then we have Fei Zhao, who we've talked about enough already. She's very good. She's a great single target DPS. She's, at the moment, one of the top damage dealers in the game. That might change in the very near future, but at the moment, she's a very good unit. Obviously, if you've been building follow-up attack units, this is like the creme de la creme of the hunt follow-up attack playstyle, so you really probably want to pick her up. So all 3 of these units do certainly have value, and they're absolutely worth picking up. I know we just went on this whole spiel about how rerun units are not nearly as good in this game, but these rerun units are pretty good, so you're definitely not losing your groove here on your account if you decide to pull for one of these units. Now let's talk about Silverwolf, because I hate to say this because I really like this character. This was the first character in the game that I really tried to pull because I played for the first couple patches before quitting and then coming back near 2.0. But she's not great anymore. it was funny because one of the big things we talked about when Silverwolf came out, like the general mood in the community was, man, this character has this unique ability to implant weaknesses on enemies, and I really don't see them. I don't see them giving more units that kind of ability anytime soon. And then every break DPS has their own weakness implant or weakness ignore. You have Fugue that gives everybody weakness ignore if you skill on them. You have Fei Zhao who just ignores weakness. And she's just not nearly as good as she used to be. I mean, she is the worst character that's on Banner, which sucks because I once again really like this character. She can be very good. She can be useful in Acheron teams. You can use her as like a very good single target debuffer, and her weakness implant is still very convenient and very useful, but she's just not nearly as good as she was in the early stages of the game, and probably not the most valuable for your account right now. But you can still definitely pull her. And once again, if you want to pull any of these units, you like any of these units, that's always something that is worth doing, right? Pull whoever you want. And most of the gripes I have with, you know, power creep and all this stuff mostly do just apply to endgame content. So if you're just playing through the story, playing through the game casually, then pull whoever you want, once again. But now we move on to my favorite boy, my main, Boot Hill, who I do still think is a very good unit. I know that I said damage dealers do tend to fall off, but he and Fei Zhao are the best single target damage dealers in the game. And if you want to keep playing Break, maybe you like you pulled Rappa, you really like Break, you want to have another Break unit, sure man, do that. Or if you didn't pull Rappa, you didn't pull Firefly, you didn't pull Boot Hill, but maybe you have Ruan Mei and Fugue and you want to make a Break team, he's certainly a good character to build a Break team around. Once again, he's going to struggle when it comes to some content that is not single target focused, but that's the name of the game. He's a hunt unit, right? I think he is a very good unit. He's a very powerful unit still. He's not going to be a top shelf unit forever, obviously, because he's a damage dealer and they will fall off quicker than supports, like Robin, who is very worth pulling, even though we're probably going to get more units that are good supports in the near future. But she is the best unit in the game, probably still. Her buffs are broken, her action advance is broken, and she deals more damage than other Harmony units. That might change in the near future as well. But she is such a good unit. She does so much for your team. She does everything for your team. She gives you a bunch of offensive buffs, and she advances everybody's action. She's very, very good and always worth pulling. So that's my opinion very briefly on all the rerun units. But once again, always be a little bit cautious with rerun units, except Robin. You don't have to be cautious with her. She's very good. Now, Herta is coming up. She is a new unit. She's going to be very good at Pure Fiction just because it's Herta, and Herta is already good at Pure Fiction. She has an interesting kit. I haven't dove nearly as much into their kits as I would have liked for Herta and Aglia, but she's going to be a very good unit. If you're needing help in Pure Fiction, if you want to run her with with another Erudition unit, with a unit like Lingshaw as well, she likes it when other units attack a lot, so that's very convenient. And probably going to be a very good unit. And I imagine because it's Herta and because she's kind of a big character in the game, I think she's probably going to be good for a while, but that's narrative scaling, and I don't know how reliable that is, but I think she's worth pulling. And then Aglia, I know less about, admittedly, but she's obviously the first big Remembrance character we're getting. So if you're very interested in the Remembrance class, obviously that's a reason to pull her, because she's going to be your only opportunity to get a Remembrance unit besides the MC for a little while until we get Castration. You know who she is, but she's gonna be your best bet for getting a Remembrance unit early on. She's very pretty, and you can pull her if you want as well. So I know this was less of a banner review kind of video and more of a let's talk about reruns as a concept video. I know, but I kind of want to just get my thoughts out there, and also just, I hadn't made a video in a little while, so I wanted to just chat for a bit. Obviously, if you couldn't tell, this was very much not scripted like my class history videos or anything, where this is just me talking in a box that once again kind of makes it look like it's a Mega Man game boss selection screen, but I don't know. Anyway, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This is the part where I would bring up my statistic that says, well, 87.3% of you are not subscribed to my channel when you watch the video, so please subscribe. Now, I don't have that stupid statistic that every YouTuber always pulls up, but it would mean a lot to me to subscribe. I'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers just to say I did. But anyway, don't gamble, it's bad for you.